Hey, I'm Scotty Rock.
And I'm Nate Danger.
Oh yeah, today we're going to
talk about right band, wrong time. Great bands that possibly came out at
the absolute wrong time.
And today we're going to talk about one of my favorite bands. We're going to talk about the Bulletboys.
I love the Bulletboys.
I love the Bulletboys.
Okay, what's your first recollection of the Bulletboys?
I got a mixtape from a good friend, Scotty Rock.
Oh.
And there were a couple of Bulletboys tracks on this, mixed in with some Dangerous Toys, mixed in with some Bang Tango, mixed in with all this stuff. And there were some Bulletboys tracks, right? Smooth Up Indian was on there.
Right.
You actually introduced me to a lot of great bands. I feel like without you, I don't even know.
I was that
you were
guy.
my gateway.
Yeah.
My gateway to all these bands.
I was the guy always looking for something interesting.
Yeah. So you gave me the mixtape and we were going through it and listening to all these songs, and Bulletboys came on, and when I heard Mark Torian's voice, it just blew me away.
I know. It's so rad. He's such a rad singer.
Oh man. The guy's incredible.
Yeah.
The whole band's incredible. So I immediately went out. I got their debut album. Their debut album
So good. It's
opens up with Hard as a Rock.
Yeah.
Just hammers in Hard as a Rock. Hard as a Rock. Hard as a rock. Hard as a rock. You let me, baby. Hard as a rock. Hard as a rock. Hard as a rock. Ooh, baby, hard as a rock. Yeah. Gets going right away into Smooth Up In Ya.
Oh, man.
Even the album cover, the bullet through the apple, I don't know.
Cool was that album cover? That
I
was
thought
so
the album
good.
cover was awesome.
It was perfect blue, the red, the bullet going through and exploding the apple. I mean, it was a great for a band called the Bulletboys, right? It was
Yeah,
a perfect cover for them.
100%. So how did you get introduced to him?
Oh man, this is the best story. So my buddy liked a girl named Lona, and we went to her house, and we were watching Much Music, and I was like, oh great, video channel. I didn't have cable at the time, so I couldn't watch videos, but they had And Justice for All, the Metallica one video came out, and we were like watching it for the first time, and then after that was the Bulletboys, For the Love of Money, and I was like, I kind of prefer Bulletboys over
Metallica?
Metallica. It was like long.
Well, that
it was
Metallica
like,
was crazy.
it was so good, but it was like, where's the bass? You know, like they had me at
Where's the
Master
bass?
of Puppets. They had
Where's
me at Master of
Newstead?
Puppets, but then I was like, what's this? You know what I mean? Like, anyways, Bulletboys. That was the first time I saw it. I'm like, I love the Van Halen-esque vibe. David Lee Roth. We got like that guy on the guitar who's shredding on a black Les Paul.
And he's kind of got that. He's got a little bit of that Diamond Dave feel, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, definitely
Yeah.
makes you think of that. Anyways,
His screams. He's such a great singer. I always think, man, if I could sing like him, I'd be at the karaoke bar every
all
night.
the time. Yeah,
Just
writing
wailing
autographs.
away.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, like, I loved For the Love of Money because when I was a kid growing up, I was into Motown. You know, those some of my earliest memories are Motown hits.
Yes.
And I knew the song. I was like, what? A hard rock version of this? You got the shimmy on the hi-hats, you know?
The bass.
The bass was like...
Doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo.
And the bass player was so rad, eh?
Doo,
He looked so
doo,
cool,
doo.
like in the band, you know?
Oh! Lonnie.
Yeah, Lonnie.
Lonnie. What was his last name? Vincent?
Yes, I think
Lonnie
so.
Vincent.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think so.
Anyways, that Bulletboys album, I went out and bought it. It was great. It was a bit of a Van Halen-esque experience at the time.
But way better.
But I was
Than Van
way
Halen.
better at the time. You're probably right.
Well, I wasn't a
Post
big Van
84.
Halen fan.
Yeah. So Bulletboys were rad, man. I don't know.
I loved it.
Their second album came out, Freak Show. And they had THC Groove.
Big show.
Hang on St. Christopher, which was the cover, and Talk to Your Daughter, which was the cover.
Well, they did a lot of covers.
They did a lot of covers. So Freak Show was, for me, where it started to go downhill.
What?
Yeah. The covers
No.
were good, but I don't think you should like put two covers back to back on a album if you're doing two covers.
Here's the thing. Okay,
Lay it
so
out.
they come out. What year did they come out? 88, 89?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
89? I honestly don't think their first album has a bad song on it.
No.
I love it. It's one of the greatest albums, and I feel like it was one of those albums that people who weren't even into that type of music were talking about how great this album was at the time.
You're right, yeah.
That became one of my lake go-to albums. Like, I'd be up at the lake with all your buddies and this, that, and like everyone's playing the Bulletboys.
Yeah.
Bulletboys. It was awesome. Second album comes out, Freak Show, right?
Yeah.
Freak Show came out in 91.
I think so. I want to say 91.
91. And I love this album too. I love it. There's a couple of down points maybe in relation to their initial album.
Right.
You talk about covers. I wasn't a fan of Talk to Your Dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'd say as the album has aged, that song is probably a song that I don't care for.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
I was familiar with the original cover because back in the day, I was listening to like a lot of blues stuff too.
Okay.
So I was familiar. I knew it was the easy cover. I was like, oh, cool.
They did some covers. Hang On St. Christopher.
It's a bit of an obscure cover, hey? But,
One of the best songs I've ever heard.
but they do an amazing version of it, hey?
I'm so glad, even
I know,
for
right?
the fact, whether it's a cover or not, I'm glad they introduced me to this song because I never would have heard it before. And I love that song. I
Yeah.
think Hang On St. Christopher is one of the coolest, grooviest tunes
I know,
on that
yeah.
album.
It's got like a great groove. It does that thing on that chorus where like they kind of do that or whatever. I love that part, man.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. The whole ding 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 ding. It's such a great song. I could listen to that song every single day. That's how much I love it.
Okay, well, their first single on that album was THC Groove, and back then I didn't know what THC was, so it didn't make sense to me, right? But
Do you know now?
familiar, I read about a couple
Really?
articles about
Really?
it. But
What is it?
it does what it does, and it was the groove of the first single, which I thought wasn't the best single to.
Tea time!
Yeah.
Man, when you saw that
It
video,
was so cool though.
do you remember?
Yeah.
That was the first exposure to that song was the video because they released it before the album came out.
Right.
And when he's like Tea Time and Mad Hatter and Big Hat. And
With that drum
Mark
beat comes
is
in.
the coolest guy at that point. Like, ah.
So like, what didn't make them go from like the success of the first album to the second they dropped in sales? What do you think it was?
They did. I don't know. Why did they drop in sales? The song had a little bit of a, I'm going to say maybe a darker feel to it,
I bet, yeah.
right?
The usual second album, kind of everything's a little bit
Yeah.
darker, a
They
little
had-
more live.
Thrills a Kill, Do Me Raw, Tie Me Up,
Yeah, right.
Lay Me Down, Tie Me Up, Tie Me Up, Lay Me Down, Tie Me Up. Like, oh man, I love that. But the songs weren't as commercially friendly.
Yeah, exactly. The songs are good. They had a lot
The
of vibe.
covers were.
The covers were catchy. Well, that's probably why they had two covers on the second album because they had no like hits.
Yeah.
But none of the second album was really like a catchy like radio song. They never
So good though.
got the hooks in. But it's such a good album at the same time. Like if you like
I
an
love
album
it.
of songs that aren't catchy,
If you want an underground album,
that would be it.
honestly, Freak Show, even Freak Show. It's so good.
It's awesome. Okay, so what came after that album? Zaza.
Well, yeah, then they fell apart. Like,
It-
does
well,
anyone care?
That third album I bought, and I was
why?
like,
Why?
because I was hoping to get the first album, they'd get it right on the third album. But when Pigs Fly is the album opener,
Oh, you want me back? Oh, yes. Have you been smoking crack?
it's all the same band. Every band has those three great albums. This is the original lineup, and died on the.
It's
on the
not a
stage.
good album.
The songs weren't catchy. The riffs weren't there. The vibe was gone. The songs were interesting to listen to, but they just weren't like ear candy that I wanted to hear at the time.
I'll have to give it another chance.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
a-
I tried to listen to it,
it's a
and I was
deep
like,
cut. So that's the Bullet Boys, man. And Ted Templeton, who produced Van Halen's first album,
Ted
produced their
Templeman.
first Bullet Boys. So it has that where the guitar player solos, there's no backing rhythm behind it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it has that similar Van Halen vibe. Mark Torrin was always kind of equated to David Lee Roth kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And so
I
they were
kinda
kind of
like that.
Van Halen light, but I was like, I don't know. In some ways, I kind of preferred it over Van Halen at that time.
I did.
Yep.
Our first album's a smash.
Smash,
Still
yeah.
a number
Second
one.
was The Shadow. Third one was like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
third
Brother.
one. Third one can go away.
yep.
For me, and then you know what? But I do like the fact that they're still out there. They're still out there. They're playing.
Yep.
They're satisfying everybody's Bullet Boys needs.
Needs, right?
The only problem is they never come to Canada.
Never come
Right?
again.
I've never seen Bullet Boys live. Man, that's one of those bucket list bands that I would love
Oh,
to see live.
Okay, here's the
We
thing.
need to make a trip where we can go and
See all these
we
bands.
see all these bands. Pretty Boy Floyd's,
Yeah, Sweet
Bullet
FA,
Boys,
Bullet Boys.
Sweet FA. Is Sweet FA's not playing anymore?
Yeah, they are. I'm sure.
No
they are.
way. But all these bands, like, we need to get out there and.
Let's do it.
You know what? We gotta start a page, a GoFundMe, a Patreon page. Like, give us some money so we can go tour around and see these bands.
Well, how about this? Why don't they fly us out? We'll hype their bands and the tour.
Yeah.
And the cost is on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's no different than
Provide us a couple sandwiches.
a couple sandwiches and some beers, and away we go. We'll hype your band all the time, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bullet Boys, third album.
Rockin' Danger for Hire.
Third album on Bullet Boys, Die on a Stake. But
Brutal.
then, so at that same period,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Mark Torrin was being considered as a replacement for Vince Neil at that time.
That's what, yeah. Okay.
So, like, what do you
okay.
think? Could he have done the Motley Crue album
No way!
with any sort of amazingness?
No.
I don't
No.
think so either. He did do
No, you can't. They had a shot with John Corabi because he was so different from Vince,
Right.
but Mark would have been way too
that
close
too close to Vince.
to even, yeah.
And here's something funny.
Fans
And you want
backlashed anyway.
Bullet Boys / Mark Torrin did like a cover album, and they covered Motley Crue's Dr. Feelgood.
Rat Tail Jimmy is a second-hand hood. He deals in Hollywood. Got a 65 Chevy Private Flames, traded for some powder goods. Jigsaw Jimmy, he's running the game, but I hear he's doing okay. Got a cozy little job, says a Mexican mom. Packages a candy cane. He's the one that called us.
So that would give you an idea what he would have sounded like fronting Motley Crue. And I felt after listening to it that he couldn't like spit out the lyrics fast enough
Yeah.
to be like Downtown Jimmy, you know, secondhand hood,
Secondhand hood.
raised out of Hollywood, you know. Bullet Boys.
I love Bullet Boys.
Yes.
But I'm gonna keep it to the first two albums.
First two-
Everything else, I don't know. Elephant album or whatever else they released.
Okay, I didn't mind the later day Bullet Boys. I was like, oh, it's kind of good. But it's only the singer is the original member. He also plays guitar on the later albums, and he's a ripping guitar player. Like he shreds.
Well, that's awesome.
So good for him. Just one less person in your band. You don't need a shredding guitar player when the singer can do it all
I
like
know,
that.
but I just feel like, again, it comes down to the individuals that make magic together.
Yep.
And I feel like that with so many bands, and I feel like when you lose one link or chink in the chain, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
it's
It's not the same anymore.
it's not the same. Yeah.
Anyways, Bullet Boys.
Bullet
Had some
Boys.
magic. Lost it. I
Right
enjoyed it.
band, wrong time.
If they came out like 5 years earlier, do you think that would have been a difference in their career?
Well, if they would have put out different albums,
Yeah.
get rid of
You still got to write better songs. I mean,
Zha Zha.
Living it all the way. Time to fly, hit the sky like a
Was it Jaja or Zaza?
Zaza.
What a stupid.
Why did they call it that? Was it like, remember like Alice Cooper? Dada.
Oh yeah, was that what it was?
I remember Alice Cooper had an album called Dada.
That was
Dada.
also a dumb name.
Dada. That was
Zaza?
a terrible album. Have you listened to that album?
When Pigs Fly. What's your first song on your album? When Pigs
Maybe
Fly.
that's why they were trying to emulate Alice Cooper's terrible album.
Or were they trying to get like weird and alternative and forgot that people just want like catchy songs?
I don't know.
All right.